So, croeso to Wrexham News, and this week is the 40th anniversary, isn't it, of the one-year-long miners' strike. And it's a massive part of local history, I know. And I think we have, is it the two places here in the northeast? There was Point of Ayr and there was Bersham as well, near Fflint. And this was one of the biggest disputes, wasn't it, between the UK government under Thatcher and the miners' union. And does it employ around 1,000 men at the time?
It wasn't between Point and
It wouldn't have been far off between the two, yeah.
We had 500, didn't we? Had 600.
yeah, that's it.
And obviously, the three of you are part of that 1,000. So I suppose we'll start with some introductions. Yeah. To my right is Mike Hett, better known to a lot of people as the singer from the Declan Swans. And we also have Keith Hett, Mike's dad. And we have Eddie Poole as well with us today. I think I was about 4 or 5 when the strike happened. So I'll be really interested to hear what everybody's got to say about it today. And I'm sure a lot of people in Wrexham will be really interested who weren't there at the time and be really interested to know what happened and your experience of it.
And I first met you all here with the mine strike on my support group. You know, you did. You were linchpins of it. So, I mean, talk us through, you know, how it happened and how it impacted on you. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, start with the overtime ban, really. Yeah, led up to it, didn't it?
That was in November or October, November.
The overtime ban.
And that's, I believe that's how it come about, because we balloted and voted for no overtime. And then there was sacking miners in Yorkshire.
Yeah.
For not breaking that thing. So Jack Taylor now, who was the Yorkshire representative, went to South Wales and straight away they got together, and the next thing they're knocking on the door at Cllr.
But wasn't this part of a bigger plan as well? Or so we had to start closing mines. Yeah. There's a big push to close mines, wasn't it?
Yeah. Matt's plan was to take this 11 standards back to the 1930s by smashing all the unions. That was the plan behind it all, because in 1972 and 74, the miners had beat Teddy in 2 strikes over pay.
It also achieved caused a turnaround in Maggie Thatcher's thinking, because it was 81 and we were going to go on strike, and it was settled over the weekend.
Yeah,
sorted up over the weekend.
I always say Thatcher was the most successful Prime Minister ever, because he took her plan was to take us back to 30, 40 years, and she's done it. And if you look now, people, they become Thatcherites. There's a lot of decency going on still, but they think Thatcherism.
Ludovere Fflint Wrecsam would have a Tory MP.
Yeah, especially after, because during this, Thatcher declared war on the unions.
She's she. Yeah.
Well, she called you the enemy with her. You know, she actually called the Argentinian junta the enemy without, and you have become the enemy. But tell us a little bit about what it meant in terms of actually being out there on strike and the sort of solidarity you experienced and how people responded to that strike.
Because a year is a long time, isn't it, for a strike?
That's without funding as well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there was plenty of support out there. I mean, you mentioned your own Wrexham support group, but we had support from the dockers in Liverpool Council, Fords, T&G, Vauxhalls. I mean, out then, you may not have survived, because they fed you. They used to bring a food parcel every week, a big wagon full of food, which basically fed all the men that were on strike at Bersham. And, you know, local support groups used to all go to Beast Market and, you know, collection and stuff. Yeah. So the support was great. For me, I was 18 when the strike started. I was 19 when it finished, and I learned a lot about life there. You know, I even like, you know, respect for the police for them. They used to wave their wage packets at you because they were getting so much overtime. You know, they were waving £5 notes, which is a lot of money them days. And also, you know, the attitude of the men at Point of Ayr. Because, I mean, to be fair, Bersham was solid for 9 months, the men, till the November. I don't think Point of Ayr lost a day's production. And they used to have a mass picket on a Sunday evening, because their night shift was a Sunday, Thursday rather than a Monday, Friday. I shot quite a big mass picket on a Sunday, and something. The attitude was people refer to this ballot, and which is a load of nonsense. And then men used to say to, "We don't even care if you got a ballot, we're still not coming out," and they would not. They just use it as an excuse. And even towards the end, they sacked a lot of. There's been documentaries on recently. It took them 40 years to actually put something on a minor side, but that the men that were arrested at Orgreave, and they put them on charge of riots. Now, thankfully, my Mansfield represented them and got them off. But because they've been arrested, even though they got found not guilty in a court of law, they still lost their jobs. And I think
two of them got jail anyway.
I think that's why we couldn't really go back. By going back, you were going against them men that had given up everything. They'd lost everything. And do you remember we went down to London when they called the strike off on that Sunday? There was a lot of Scots, especially mainly Scottish miners, who'd been sacked, and they were adamant, we're putting a chance, we're not going back. And I don't think we wanted to go back. I don't think Scargill did have it.
I will say this though, at the end of the day, it was the best decision.
Yeah, I think so. I thought we'd lost, and that was it.
The night I can remember, we were invited to go and listen to Scargill. He was in Gronett.
Yeah.
It was a Sunday night. Went up there. My wife, by the way, said to me, "Can I come on the bus?" I don't know. Well, she said, "If I'm not on that bus, you're going to work on Monday."
Fair enough.
Hey, went up there. And as soon as she listened to me, she exploded. She come to life.
So that went down really well, that event, then.
Oh, it did.
Yeah.
And the thing I remember, Scargill said, he didn't say Bersham, he didn't say Point of Vale. He said, "You're going to lose 50% of your bits." Then with his words, I thought, right over straight. So we went on the picket line now, from Gronett.
Well, one thing you mentioned, passing about your wife, I think one of the big things about the mine strike was the women's support roots and the way women kind of came out of shadows a little bit. I remember there was a fantastic meeting, wasn't it, in the Women Mass and Call with Scargill. But I remember a woman from Point of Vale spoke very well as well. But what were your thoughts about all that? Because that was quite a change in those days, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Well, I'll tell you, one of the big things that affected that strike was the man and the woman. Now, if the woman was against the strike was on a loser anyway, wasn't he? I'm sure. I've got a photograph of our picket line. Yeah. Half of them were women.
That's what you want. That's what you want on your picket line.
No, fair dues.
But it was quite revolutionary at the time,
Well, yeah.
presumably.
if you lost your job, your family had lost their income.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's the thinking behind it was political, but it was the political education. Yeah.
Was it Cllr, West Wales? The women actually took over the mine, didn't they? Stop anybody going back.
Yeah.
Was Shana James involved in that? Yeah. They took over the actual Cllr in Cllr. It's just.
And that was the inspiration for the Pride film, wasn't
Yeah.
it?
Making the connections now.
Yeah, because that actually happened, didn't it?
Yeah.
The whole thing.
Yeah.
So it was a learning curve for a lot of people, I think. Because she did?
Yeah. So she never spoke before. Suddenly she's addressing town halls. Next thing, you've ended up as MP.
Women get to the front.
Yeah.
There's everywhere there's a rally, there's women, at least 50%.
And also, I mentioned the Scargill rally in the William Aston Hall. I think it was about 800 people there. It was a huge event. But that was the kind of also the turning point here, and where it had been solid, hadn't it, for 9 months, as you mentioned, and then all of a sudden the return to work happens. How difficult was that for you? Because you were solid.
40 years tomorrow.
Yeah. The government started offering all this incentive, didn't they?
Can't be-
Christmas was approaching. They were offering all this back pay and all this tax-free money and
the holiday pay.
holiday pay and
But they didn't realise, but they were entitled to it anyway. The only thing was, if they went back before April, we still wouldn't be taxed because we hadn't earned enough to be. There's that threshold we hadn't got anywhere near that.
They were drifting back. Me, you and the family went to Sheffield to see Scargill in Bishop Bay to get a meal to come to Wrexham for a rally. And they said to us, he's in London, you can't see him. I said, well, you've got a problem. Because if we're
Not
not
good
over
from
here
here till we see.
to see him. And we said,
Oh, there you
say,
go.
well, it's right.
Right, a wonderful meeting, huh?
Yeah. And then
He said to me, how much it cost you to come up here? I said, petrol. That's what I said. Went in his back pocket, 15 quid petrol. Oh, I think.
yeah.
Wonderful experience.
Went to see him last year at Berwick near Barnsley, 40 years, went Berwick Town Hall, and we with a minibus from the miners. He still speaks with that same do.
Yeah.
He still got it.
He couldn't be late, 80.
And the thing is, everything the man said was correct. Who was lying, him or Thatcher?
I think Sky was a year younger than me or a year older. He's about 20 years anyway. Yeah.
Because there was an awful lot that happened in that sort you mentioned Orgreave, you know, how that was presented as miners attacking the police and, you know, on the BBC. What in fact it would be the other way around, didn't it?
And it's only now that they're actually, you know, last year, for the 40-year anniversary, they actually started telling the truth. They'd done a 3-part on Channel 4, didn't they? And they'd done the one on Netflix, where they actually told the truth. You know, Michael Mansfield, when he says that the chief superintendent said that the sky was alive with missiles. And Michael Mansfield says, well, my camera's behind the police lines. That was, I didn't show them at the time, he said, but we produced that in court. And where were the missiles? And you got police actually saying that they were told to read, they were told basically what to say in their statements.
Yeah, that picture went round
Yeah.
with the copper.
Leslie Bolton getting hit with the, yeah.
Yeah, there's a miner injured. A little wall got 2 full-side brick wall, and the man lying flat out behind it. And this woman went to help him, and she's charged with a policeman with a baton on her horseback. And then
It's a famous picture.
that's what it said.
Yeah.
From lost the air around the world that it was even lowered from the ceiling in the TUC meeting.
So you really must have felt up against it then, because it sounds like it's really the establishment against the people, is it? It's quite stark.
It was.
Yeah. And the people, unthinking, supported the attack on themselves because it was an attack on all of us.
Yeah, it's like the Nottinghamshire Coalfield, Nottingham, Leicestershire. They basically thought their pits were going to be safe.
Yeah.
And that was the old thing with Cllr, you know, what gives somebody a right to say in Nottingham who thinks their job's safe to close our pit? You're supposed to be all in it together, you're supposed to be united, but...
They were trying to turn communities against each other.
Yeah.
But there was a big difference, wasn't there? Lots of miners were on terrific bonuses.
Yeah.
They were bonuses equal the basic pay. So they were on all right, so they buy a house at 100,000 or whatever thing. They had big mortgages, of course. They were backed into a corner, weren't they? Yeah. But there was another thing, the incentive scheme. We had a vote on that, didn't we? Now Scargill had just come in and he said, listen, don't accept it. He said, it'll put man against man, pit against pit, area against area, he said. And out so it was. And we won that 2-1 to reject it, and was overturned by Lord Denny.
You were up against a lot more than just...
that showed what you know.
State machinery was...
It didn't matter what you voted or what you think.
Yeah.
You would have to do it.
It's a machinery of state. The law courts, the army, the air force, the blue lot, the police, everyone. We had a photo of an army sergeant driving a police transit, and this army sergeant, he spotted a picket taking a photo of it. And the photo, he ran away and he threw it to other pickets, and that photo is on the newspaper, the Miner, and that's how I know about it. But you move on, there was a picket line in Yorkshire, and a miner on the picket line saw his son dressed as a policeman. His son was in the army in Northern Ireland.
Wow.
I think there's still...
Yeah.
At least 75 years after it's all that.
Yeah.
And let's face it.
And that's why they never have a public inquiry. I think it's too late now, 40.
Well, they've got too many going on now, haven't they?
Yeah. It summed it up, Orgreave, for me. You know, how did they get away with that?
Yeah.
It was cynical, wasn't it? But they needed something to break the structure, didn't it? To finally break the structure.
No, they played really dirty by the sounds of the miners.
I think that's the thing to remember, isn't it? You know, the miners had the reputation, like I said, about in the 70s, they beaten off Heath. In the early 80s, they beaten off Thatcher as well. So they were seen as the, you know, the Pontiff.
They got rid of their NUM, which they did. The unions all the other unions were in line there because she wanted to go to us all.
And this was Thatcher in a pot, wasn't it? She absolutely dying at the thing.
I always point out that Asgard got one thing wrong. He said, if we lose the strike, there'll be 60 pits left. There'll only be 60 pits left. And he got that wrong.
So within a year after the end of the strike, the last pit in Wrexham had gone.
Yeah.
And in a way, you could say that's the end of that.
Yeah, the Fflint history. Yeah, like I say, it was almost exactly a year. It was 11 months. It was the April of '86.
April
Yeah.
6th.
But of course, we're still talking about mining industry now. You're also very involved with the mines rescue project.
Yeah.
So in a way, I mean, I would feel that story is really properly told, but for this area, the North East Wales Oilfield used to employ 17,000 people.
Yeah.
So a lot of workers. Yeah. It was absolutely critical to the growth of Wrexham. Coal gives you the energy to produce the steel and all that stuff. So absolutely basic to developing the industry of this area. So it's really important from my perspective that we remember it, that we don't, it's not allowed to just fade away and die. And I think I'd like to talk about how the Mines Rescue Project, although it's doing lots of different things, is really, a lot of it is about keeping that heritage alive. And
it's going to school kids, they visit schools, don't they? So
yeah, it was had a lot of help from schools.
It's a two-way thing, yeah.
Gresford in particular, girl there, I'll name drop, but Sarah Jones, who's she's sat down with us to create this education work booklet on mainly on the Gresford disaster, and it's absolutely outstanding. It incorporates all your English, all your Welsh, a bit of maths in there, a bit of history, a bit of geography. It's brilliant. So the kids come to us, and how we usually do it, they'll have a 40, so you'll have split a group into two. One group will have a 45-minute tour, while the other group will have a bit of education, and we switch them round. So their experience lasts for about an hour and a half. They'll have a good tour of the place, complete some of the work booklet, but a lot of that then they'll take back to their schools, whereas like QR codes where they can learn more. And we do a bit on, the Wrexham Tranmere Rovers game that season was important because people had actually swapped shifts, to attend that game. So we cover the maths bit by doing all the stats from Wrexham from that season, where they can work out percentages, how many goals were scored, and all that type of stuff. But it works perfect.
By the way, can you tell her the result of the game?
2-2,
2-2, right? Okay.
2-2 draw. Yeah, both teams unbeaten in the league. It's a big game.
I've been on Wrexham football ground. Schoolboys, 1950s, 20,000 there. Yeah. Watching the schoolboys. I know. Crazy.
Yeah. If you see some fans, they say we've got no history. We didn't have any fans. Yeah. I got nice young Bolton last week. Was it a Bolton fan saying, you never played in Europe? Well, we got the quarter-finals one year. Yeah, they got...
Because a lot of people won't understand what Mines Rescue Centre was, so, because, and like I say, but you can still see what they used to do. So
yeah, one of the chambers is there. So it come about from, they used to have the different, every so often they bring in a new law. And in 1911, they brought in a Coal Mines Act of 1911. And it stated, because of all the accidents, incidents, fatalities, that from now on, the owners, because we're all privately owned, the owners had to build a mines rescue station within 10 miles of each coal mine, which later went to 15 miles, if you employed over 100 men. And they had to build this station where the men would do the training to go to attend to incidents underground. They'd familiarise themselves with the breathing apparatus. They had a gallery called a hot and humid chamber. They would work in the conditions to be realistic to an explosion, where the superintendent had probably watched them through the window. Because you had to also be fit as well, to be strong. And if you weren't up to it, they pull you out of there.
So you had to carry a certain weight on your capable.
Yeah.
And believe me, I don't know what it was, but it was heavy. Yeah. I couldn't carry it.
The dummy they use, this wooden dummy, it's 40.5 stone. Because if you were in that realistic situation and somebody got injured or even, heaven forbid, died, you'd have had to carry them out sometimes as far as 2 miles, on a stretcher. So we've got original stretcher there from Bersham Colliery. But it's a great place, and the kids love coming there. And we're very community focused, so that Hot and Huber chamber turns into Santa's Grotto for Christmas. It's like Scare Station when we have a big three-night event for Halloween. It's great for that.
I liked Halloween.
Yeah.
And it's Mysquin Road, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, very big. And it does a good breakfast.
It does a
as well.
That's what I done this morning.
Yeah. Good dinners, homemade chips. You like homemade chips, homemade pies. Yeah.
That sounds all right.
It's a great place. Yeah.
I think it's really important that people locally know what a tradition that we've got in Wrexham, though, of people standing up for each other, standing together, and to do it for that length of time really is impressive. And there'll be, like I say, so many people like me who won't know about it, that this is important, that people do understand that these events happened and that actually they can go to the Miners Rescue Project, they can support it, they can get their breakfast. Definitely recommend the breakfast.
And it's good tour, you know, we don't just talk about the crest, we talk about the history, you know, and the culture, the heritage. It is a good place to be.
So hopefully people can call in and support it and learn a bit of our local history at the same time. So Diolch yn fawr, thank you very much, all of you, for coming in and inviting us.
Thank you very much.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
I'll have to go live from now on as well. Just devastating.
Yeah.
I voted Labour all my life. I couldn't vote for Star again. No.
But not Labour, I mean.
No, the VA is St. Tories.
It breaks your heart, though, didn't it? It does, like it.
Yeah.